Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric Buhrendorf, CEO of EVERNET Consulting. You're watching EVERNET Reviews, where we do product and service demonstrations for all the things that we see and see our clients use and/or think that our clients should be using. Today, we have with us Connor Swalm of Phin Security, and I'm really excited to have him on board to show us Phin Security, the security awareness training platform. How's it going, Connor?
It's going great. Thanks for having me, Eric.
Yes, thanks for coming on to do this. I know that we're a fledgling YouTube channel trying to get content out there, so I appreciate your time very much. And we spent a lot of time last month or two, over the last couple months, while I personally was looking at products for our clients. I'm gonna not say who I chose, because the nature of these product reviews are really
Sure.
trying to be agnostic, really trying to spotlight the product. And this is not an endorsement by me or a non-endorsement either way. But the funny thing is, I'm finding that after I'm done with these recordings, I by the end of the recordings, I'm always a fanboy of whomever I'm demoing their product. So,
I'll do my best to make it really bad then.
No. I mean, I've seen the product before, and you know that I'm a fan of yours and what you're doing. So I just have to try to stay in my seat and act professional, but that's usually pretty hard for me. So I have a little bit of an agenda, so I'm going to take us through the list. But when we get to it, you're going to actually give us an actual product demonstration. You're going to show us the product and give us the top to bottom. You're prepared to do that today?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, so let's see. We have, as I said, Connor Swalm of Phin Security. Tell us, before we get started, who you are and what you do for Phin Security.
So I am the co-founder and CEO of Phin, which means I pretty much do everything. An interesting fact, actually, is I started off as at the beginning, I was the only developer. I taught myself software development to build a very crude version of the product that you'll end up seeing today. So what you see today has been built by very talented people that are way smarter than I am.
Wow,
But
so you were engineer one? You were developer one?
Yep. I remember sitting in a basement and writing code all day long. Horrible code. But it was still...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I liked it. I still like writing code, but I'm not great at it.
That's sure. Exciting. So you're not only the founder, but you're the initial engineer and developer. That's awesome.
Yep.
What else? Give us a quick summary of the company and/or product. So are you a single product company? Do you have a suite, or what? Tell us about the company and the product.
Yep. So we have a cloud-based SaaS platform. I don't think I could fit any more buzzwords in that phrase if I tried. But so it's this super scalable architecture. And we focus on three things right now. That is phishing simulations, and that can be email, text message, doesn't matter. Security awareness training. So we've built a learning management system that's scalable to hundreds of thousands of end seats. And the third is a policy management and attestation piece as well. So we've created a platform that allows you to do all of that. And if you want me to throw in another buzzword, it's multi-tenant from the start. So nice. You can actually segregate groups of users or companies, or however you would like to separate access is exactly what you could do.
So for the less nerdy out there, or the upstart MSPs out there, multi-tenant implies that we, the MSP or the IT company, buy from you and we manage a book of clients in your product.
Yep. You can separate your clients however you would like, and then you can actually even delegate access to your clients to their specific piece of the platform.
Okay. So can a company buy direct from you, or how does that work?
Not currently. So one of the things that separates us from a lot of players in this area is we only work with MSPs. So we actually don't have a single direct sale. We don't approach enterprises. We don't do anything like that. We wanted to work with MSPs, and then they go by sometimes different names: VARs, resellers.
The channel, right? Is that what they like? So your channel only, as I think is what they call that. Okay.
Yep.
So we don't have to worry about competing with you in that context. So that's nice. I see that. All right, so that gives us a rundown. So, I guess you already said it, but let me just follow my guide here. What problem does security awareness training and phishing simulation solve?
So when I started Finn, it actually started under a different name, but when I started this company a few years back, almost 4 is when I started building this. Um, we noticed that users, or rather companies that I would try to sell other software to, spent the entire time complaining, or rather extolling how their users would keep making mistakes, and no matter what kind of training they did, these users were still vulnerable. And something was missing from the puzzle to train users to recognize social engineering and then to prevent it eventually. So I decided to make a company that would solve that problem. Uh, Via, we can get into how we do additional, like traditional learning that you might be used to is not something we do. We have invented several other ways that learning ends up happening, which create behavioral changes in users. But then when we ran across a managed service provider once, like 3 years ago almost now, they agreed with us on what the problem was with end users, and then also asked us to build a bunch of automations into the platform. They're like, if you can automate these pieces, and if you can allow me to access it in these ways and share resources in these ways, it's like nobody else is doing that. And it would be really, really helpful to me. And I was like, for better or for worse, maybe I didn't know enough. And I was like, sure, yeah, we'll do that.
Well,
No problem.
what's the saying? I'm trying to think of. Necessity is the
Mother of invention or something like
mother of
that.
invention. Thank you. Nice. I tee it up. You hit it out. Yeah. So I mean, you saw a need and you met and you're filling the need.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. All right. So, and rarely does a product exist in a vacuum. So you operate in a space. Presumably, you have competitors. Who would you list as your closest competitors?
People we regularly go up against. The big one in the space is KnowBe4. They're the only billion-dollar security awareness training company, as far as I'm aware, and they're publicly traded.
Oh,
Second, Breach Secure Now is a big one in the space, and then uh, there are hundreds of companies that do something like this. So I'll also say Proofpoint and Cofense and Webroot and Sophos all attempt to do little bits and pieces of what you'll see today.
right.
Uh, at some level, they do some of it for sure.
And the big headline grabber is Kaseya buying Datto this week. That's announced this week and last week. My understanding is Kaseya has a product in that space too, right? Is that the ID agent Bullfish?
Yep, they acquired ID Agent and Bullfish a while back now.
Right,
A while for me, at least.
right.
Uh, and yes, we do compete with them every now and then for sure.
Nice. I appreciate the candor. I know a lot of people don't like to mention, sometimes, so many people treat the names of their
No,
competitors like swear words, but
no,
that's
I think ignoring your competition is stupid. I
I
think
I
I'm
would
trying to
agree.
get better. I'm trying to educate the MSP industry. My goal is to help as many MSPs as possible. This is typically an area. It's like a lot of owners of MSPs are started off as IT guys. I started off not as an IT guy, but I was very nerdy, learned to code, studied math, played video games. It's like I fit in with that crowd. It's like the scariest part of everything was the other people involved. It's like, okay, now there's a piece of cybersecurity that is exclusively related to all the other people involved in a company. It's like, oh, all of us need some help here when we're talking with other people and learning how to work with them. So
Right.
that's what I
Good.
want to do.
I like that. All right. So, and then before we get to the product demo, what would you say separates you from the competition?
So there's three key areas of pain that we have focused on for managed service providers. One, onboarding automation, and you're going to stay agnostic, so I'm not going to ask you what your opinion was of the onboarding, but
Well, you can ask me some opinions, but we're irrelevant, I guess.
um, we focus very heavily on onboarding. So no exaggeration. If you had the user sync credential, whatever user sync you're using, whether it's G Suite or Azure or some other weird version, some other weird platform, you can inside of 10 minutes get your client completely set up. Users in, training started, phishing started, forever. Like 10-minute onboarding is a big piece. The second is the automating of the campaigns and the reporting themselves. A lot of platforms still require you for every single client of yours to go in and out and in and out and in and out over and over and over again to recreate phishing. It's like your value as an
This is
MSP.
me desperately trying to hold back the fanboy ism right now because
Yeah.
I've seen your product. I know you're going to show us, and that is a significant pain point for sure. The onboarding and deployment. So that you're saying you're up and so you're in the multi-tenant platform. You're onboarding clients and configuring them with rapidly and in rapid succession
Yeah. In less than 10 minutes for sure. And we're
per
even,
per client per
yep,
tenant.
once. And that's, you don't need to go back in that client ever again unless you really wanted to add additional training that our platform alters the training and the phishing users get anyways automatically based upon their responses, so that your clients get exactly the training they need on the topics they need and the phishing that they need, that's going to lead to what we call learning moments. But if you want additional training, you could log in and do some stuff. You don't need to go back in at all.
That's excellent. And what else? Do you have any other differentiation, would you say?
um the
Not to
fact that
reduce you, but as any key differentiations?
yeah, the fact that we work with MSPs only, the a lot of the business that we are, the way our pricing structure works, it's at the top level for aggregate usage based on the MSP's usage itself. We're really the most MSP friendly company in my mind. I'll say that we're the most MSP friendly
Nice.
company. But
So I'll ask about the buying experience later. So,
sure,
but so that sounds like that's a piece of it too.
yep, for
Cool.
sure.
All right. If without any further ado, we block about 45 minutes to an hour to do a product demonstration. We're at about 10 minutes, 12 minutes now in the recording. I would say I'm going to turn it over to you. It is your microphone. Sell us Phin Security. I'm going to add your screen to the
Awesome.
share here.
Are you going to be asking questions? Is
I'm
the
gonna
intent?
like I said, I'm gonna try really hard to curb my, like I said, being a fanboy. I am a fan of you and your product. So, but really, this is your product demonstration. Take us from the top.
All right.
The value of these videos and why I do them is because when I'm shopping for a product, these are the videos that help me decide on
Yeah.
picking a product. It's actually looking at the product. It's actually seeing the settings page, the main pages, the actual product. So why don't you give us your tour?
Let's do it. So, what we've landed at right here, I think everyone can see my screen, is our partner dashboard. So, as an MSP, we call all of our MSP clients partners. This is exactly what you would see. And you can see I got a table of my clients here. These are both the individual tenants that we had talked about earlier. And we have the partner administrators right here. So, one of the things that sets us apart as well is you can actually co manage single instances of tenants if you'd want, or you can just keep it partner managed, i.e., other members of your staff are doing this as well. For the demo, I'm going to go into a common use case. One that I mentioned earlier actually is a onboarding. I'm going to show you how easy it would be to onboard a client. I'll show you how to get reporting started, how to get phishing training, reports started, all that good stuff. And I'm going to show you how easy that would be, all while explaining the rest of the platform as well.
Excellent.
So right here, actually in our settings page, one thing I want to mention here is if you add your logo as the MSP in our partner dashboard, it filters into all of your clients today and any new client that you'll bring as well. So you can essentially white label all external communications, our learning management system, our partner portal that you see here, the individual tenants portal. You can white label all of that just by adding your logo there. And
Oh wow! So with one function of adding the
yeah,
logo,
right here.
all deliverables that the MSP's clients and customers see are branded to them, not the Fin product.
Correct.
Now,
So
if they don't do that, will Fin take center stage in that context?
So every partner that's created, it defaults with the Fin logo,
Okay,
and all you'd have to do is remove it from here. Now, if you didn't want to add a partner logo, you can still in the individual tenants themselves add an individual logo if you'd want.
nice.
So
Okay,
the client, it can actually be branded to the client as well.
okay, because this is the way I am. If we add our logo to the global setting and then add a customer logo or a different logo at the tenant setting, will the global prevail until one is present for the tenant?
Yes, global.
Perfect.
Yeah, global inherits, but until you go in there into the individual
Perfect.
tenant and upload something.
Great. So that's maximum flexibility. That's nice.
Yep. So let's go through that use case. So you can see I have a bunch of tenants here, but I'll actually create a new one. I'll call it EVERNET for now because
Oh, nice.
we're on
Put me in the
EVERNET's
books.
EVERNET show. So all I got to do to create a company is give it a name. There are some products in the space, I won't mention names here, that you can't even do that. You have to call somebody, email somebody, I don't know, sacrifice your firstborn child. You got to do weird things to get clients in your dashboard as the MSP. That
Provisioning, yeah. Provisioning has to be easy. It just has to be. And why these platforms that don't have self provisioning is just beyond me. But keep going.
correct. And you can see EVERNET is now, this isn't smoke and mirrors. This is an actual partner dashboard here. EVERNET is now a client of mine. So now I'm in my client. I've created them brand new, just logged in. I land right at what we've created, what we call onboarding checklist. So there are 4 steps here. If you complete all 4 of these steps as the partner, a couple of things are going to happen. Users are going to be on board the platform. Training and phishing and policies are going to be out and running. Emails are going to be whitelisted. Very important piece that some MSPs miss. So you got to guarantee delivery of the traffic, because if you can't guarantee delivery of the traffic, you'll come back here 3 months from now wondering why you have a 0% fish rate. It's not because your employees at your big company are
Right. Your spam filters are working.
correct.
Right. The nature of this product is to poke let this content through because you're testing the end user.
Yeah, not only for that testing piece, but also for the training notifications. You
Oh,
don't
right.
want users to say, "Hey, I never got my training," even though some will. They'll say that, and sometimes they're right. Sometimes it's been misconfigured in some way, but other times you can prove through the platform that they received and even opened the email.
Right.
So, and then the
Oh,
fourth step.
does the training report open rates?
Yep.
Nice.
And then it depends on if you, as the admin of the, let's say, an office instance of the office instance itself, block tracking pixels. So if you don't block tracking pixels, then we will know who opened it and who didn't. But if you
Right.
do,
Okay. So you're using a tracking pixel. Nice.
yeah.
Nice. That's a marketing. That's a feature born from the marketing department, right?
Yep. Yeah. So we track who opened the training notification, and then who got to the training. So who visited the link, and then also who just closed it out and didn't do anything with it. We want to
Right.
know both.
And we did summarize. Did we summarize that the nature of this product, the primary vehicle of this product, is all email born, right? I mean, it's a cloud platform that we administer, but the experience for the end user is all kind of email delivered, right? So
Yep.
training, email training. Is there, and I don't want to get ahead of us. If we are, just say we'll get there. But is there an end user dashboard that they would log into that they manage themselves, or?
So there is a dashboard end users get to. It's their individualized training, like piece of our learning management system. But they actually don't even need a password to get there. They just need any of the previous training reminders we've sent them. All of them point back to the very most recent instance of their training. So what policies they're enrolled in and they need to attest to, what training they need to do, so on and so forth.
So
So
when Phin Security sends a deliverable to the end user, it's coded to the end user. They click on the link. It's sessionless, I guess, or
yep.
and it passes them right into their respective content, and they can see all of their participation or training and all that.
Yep. They can see what they've completed in the past. If they want, download certificates of completion. More importantly, review the policies that they've attested, they read and understood.
Right.
They can access all that. And you know what? I won't spoil it. But there's one cool thing that everybody complains about if it doesn't exist, but when it does exist, doesn't really matter. I'll get to what I mean by that in a second.
Okay, I have an idea, but keep going.
I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then the fourth is what we call personalization. And we've broken up personalization. So this is the fourth step into that logo that we talked about. Is it going to be the companies or is it going to be the partners? And then also admins. So I need to We just enabled MFA, so I need to relog back in, actually. What we've called managing admins. So if I go to my users table and I can add an admin right here, this would be for this tenant only. So
Okay.
as an MSP, maybe there's an IT staff on the other side from the employee side, and you're managing that, or maybe there's just an HR manager or another stakeholder there that would like to have access to the platform.
Right. Okay.
So let's go through those steps one by one. And I'm going to show you. So I'm going to talk the entire time. Normally this takes 10 minutes, especially after I've onboarded you as an admin or you've watched our onboarding videos. But the first step, let's get users on board. So I can just sync with Azure, which this will bring you through a consent flow through connecting our tenant to your tenant. And actually, Eric, we're creating a lot of improvements to this. It's going to be a direct connection through Microsoft Graph API. Microsoft's been making some weird changes under the hood and not telling anyone about them in regards to their user syncs. So we are just going straight to the Graph API, which we have a feeling that the Azure integration just uses anyway, so that we can have direct control over what happens.
Okay, so the directory sync today is limited to the Azure. So an on-prem AD is supported or not? They probably have to create a link to Azure and then come in that way.
Correct. We support hybrid and just straight cloud, so Azure, but we don't support strictly on-prem.
Okay, and no Google Work. What do they call that? Workspace these days?
No Google Workspace integration as of now. Correct.
Okay.
So all you have to do to sync there is read what the permissions we're looking for, press consent, integration pops up, and you enable it. That's literally it. And then we just, every time there's an error syncing, you'll get an email as the admin, so you're aware of any potential issues. And then you can come into the dashboard and you'll be able to see what went wrong, when did it go wrong, when was the last time I had my users in, stuff like that. All the information you wish your other Azure syncs gave you, we just deliver to you so that you can actually troubleshoot if you need to.
Now, does the MSP get any sort of email related alerts in the event that a sync fails or an ad drop?
Yep, that's what the MSP is getting. So when I'm an admin, it's not only the admins in this account. So whoever you've added, it's the admins of the MSP that are responsible for provisioning the account get the same notification.
Great.
If I didn't want to do that, you can manually import users through a CSV. That's expected. We basically took a lot of inspiration from MailChimp's process. So you map the headers in that you want, you leave the headers out, you don't.
Nice.
But if I actually go to add a single user, you can see you can store a whole lot of information with us. And when you do, so there's a couple of benefits to that. When you store more information with us, our fishes can reference that automatically.
Oh.
So if you wanted to copy a fish and input the supervisor's name, email, recreate the signature at the bottom, maybe you can do that.
Wow. Turbocharge the fish.
So you can, what a lot of people are facing today, you can emulate spear phishing by just porting over the department name or supervisor name or anything. So you can add all that, but you don't need to. The only thing you need is first, last, and email. So I'm going to add a user here. And when I add a user, they show up right here. And there's one piece of functionality I want to show you. If I select a user, I can sleep them. And when I sleep them, this user is not going to get training, no phishing, no notifications. This user gets nothing from our platform. And more importantly, never shows up in billing.
Oh, wow. So I shouldn't act surprised because I actually think that this is a unique differentiator for you guys. So I've reviewed quite a few of the other platforms, if not all of them, and I didn't see anybody else have this feature. So I think it's a makes sense feature that I think, and here comes the fanboy coming out, is earlier you said that one of the differentiators is you're friendly to the relationship of your relationship with the MSP, and that's just one of those things that just I think points that out.
Yeah, absolutely. When we sync over Azure, even though we're very smart about it, we're only pulling over inboxes that have an active license and have some kind of activity in there. So what we would deem active people. However, you're going to pull over shared mailboxes. You're going to pull over inboxes that are used for entire.
Yeah, but what about Susie or Jack, office worker, who's out on paternity leave for 3 months? They're not needing their training or whatever. It just would be nice to be able to sleep them. I mean, because
Correct.
again, like as the MSP, we're managing this platform, and if we see somebody's participation dropping off, and the level 1 calls and says, "Hey, you're not participating in your training," it's like, "Oh, Susie's out for the next 3 months for maternity leave." Okay, well, let me just sleep her. Does that
Correct.
sleep? Does that sleep have a timeout to it?
No, not yet.
No.
I know. I think you and actually several other people have asked for it. Is can we time out for a certain time frame?
Yeah.
Currently, it's just on or off.
Yeah, I'm not being cheeky. That came to me organically, but I think
Yep.
we did mention that before. That probably would be nice if that were to do that for that scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. And another cool thing to mention, as an MSP, this works exactly how you'd imagine it working. And let me explain that.
How
If
novel.
we, yeah, if we have an active user sync in here, and we have slept a user, and like just click that button, this user will stay slept, even though they might get updated or deleted. If they get deleted, they'll get deleted. But if they get updated or added, or something changes in that user's record, but they're slept here, they will stay slept. So
Nice.
you never, we sync every hour. It'd be a real pain to have to come back you don't have to do that. You sleep once. This becomes the source of truth. We still look for updates to make sure that user's record's up to date, so that when they do turn on, they're good to go. But they will stay slept.
Nice. Okay.
So let's say I'd gotten my users and I need to relog in, apparently.
Oh, nice strict
If
security.
I don't interact, in a certain time frame, it will push me out. So, second thing, getting training and phishing started. Now, you, as well as many other MSPs, you're very used to traditional phishing and training. That is, I'm going to select 6 training modules, 12 training modules, however many, and I'm going to select 6 or 12 fishes. Boom, one a month. You'll be back in here 12 months from now, 12 weeks from now, however often you're doing this, recreating the exact same training campaigns from scratch.
Right.
How painful is that?
That's awful.
It's awful. And I just read Datto's State of the MSP report. So take this with a grain of salt. They said the average MSP has 122 clients. So picture you're spending, let's call it 1 hour a year per client doing this stuff, which is way more than that. You and I both know.
Yeah, it's
You'd
2
be
weeks of
spending,
admin.
that's 3. That's 3 weeks of admin.
Right. About 3 weeks of admin. No, it's right. You're 3 weeks of admin. Yeah, that's not tenable.
For just this. Insane. So you know what? You can do all that, or you can use our continuous campaign creator. So I'm going to go through a list of questions, and Eric, we can talk about why this set of questions after the fact. But what this is doing is this is creating not only the base layer of cybersecurity training that your users in this company are going to need, it's also asking specific questions about additional areas of compliance, such as, I mean, we've already been through a couple of them: HIPAA,
I just want to
GDPR.
emphasize. I think you're glazing over. I think this is part of the power of your platform. I
This
mean,
is.
you're having the MSP answer contextually relevant questions about the client in the continuous campaign creator. I mean, that's the secret sauce, right?
Yep. And this process, so right here, I will go into the campaigns generated from this. But yes, we have taken, this is why the onboarding process is 10 minutes. You don't need to go select fishes. You don't need to reassign training. Excuse me. You don't need to do anything other than answer those 8 questions. Hey, do they handle PHI? Well, you need to know that if they're your client anyway. Do they
Right.
handle PCI related materials? Do they collect payment information? Do they do business in the European Union? It's
Right.
like, and then all you got to do is answer those questions, and we create a list of topics that used for training, and I'll
Yep.
explain how that works, and a list of topics that we use for phishing assessments as well, and I'll explain how those work. Um, from there, schedule out whenever you'd want, and they can be, they don't need to be the same date. It defaults to monthly, but we've actually created a really cool scheduler that.
So one is the phishing schedule, and one is the
Yeah,
training schedule on that scheduler.
correct.
And you're okay, and I love it. This is it, the continuous campaign creator, because you're now you guys are curating the content, right? You're feeding the machine, so we're managing the clients. You're feeding the training content, making sure that it's relevant, it's dynamic, it's up to date, and that continuous campaign creator is just our administrative setup.
Correct.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's it. And so I've answered those questions. Now let's go to our phishing dashboard, and you can see I have a continuous phishing campaign that starts in 8 days. So let's go into that campaign and see what it does. So the first is I can change the audience if I'd want. It defaults to the entire company because we think you can get everything done with one phishing and one training campaign based upon how we do things here. If you had your Azure Sync enabled, you'd have a group selector here. So you can, if you're actually diligent about managing your Azure groups in the Azure side of things, you can just select, I don't know, this group of users, whether that's department-based or access-based or just company-wide.
Or if it's an enterprise, I mean, right?
Correct.
I mean, with a complex management structure.
Correct. And then from here, so we've created, this is brand new, what we call like a Mad Libs style training cadence selector. So I can do twice a month or on the first and third weeks, or instead of the
Send
first
twice a month on the first and second week on Mondays.
Yep. So how do you
time.
think that would send?
Send twice a month on the first and second week on Mondays. So send twice a month on the first. So on week 1 and week 2 on Mondays, this would send?
Yep. It
Of
would
every
start a
month?
batch. Now, we do phishing really intelligently, so no user ever gets the same fish at the same time of day ever. So the batch starts on Monday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, those fishes get sent out. So we spread 3 business days, and we choose fishes for individuals based upon what they're vulnerable to. So no one gets the same fish. Everyone's different.
Oh, so all
But
the employees are getting different phishing attempts.
based upon their previous interactivity, or if it's brand new, we kind of scatter shop things. We say, okay, what are people vulnerable to? And
You
then we'll
start a
start gathering
baseline.
a profile. Yeah.
Nice.
And
Wow.
then
Okay.
so for instance, in here, you're not selecting fishes, you're selecting categories. So maybe you're like, okay, we're going to remove the healthcare fishes, but let's look at the notification fishes. It's like, okay, here's a notification fish. This is one of them that could possibly be sent. And then really what we're doing under the hood is we're gathering what difficulty users are vulnerable to. Was it a text? Was it an email? Was it business email compromise scam? What was the appeal? What was the content? What time of day did we send this? Did they open it and click it immediately? Or did they open it, let it sit for a day, and then click it? We get this profile for a user that kind of represents what emotional state they were in, basically, because that's why people end up getting phished. And then how we can mimic something to get them back into the emotional state to give them training on the back end. So that's for phishing. And the reason we do that, Eric, before I go into training, it's not because we are sadistic. It's not because we hate people. It's not because we want them to fail. It's because we want to give them a really safe environment to learn in. So for instance, here is a test fish that I sent myself late last year, but it still works. This is an example of where we would inject users' information. So you can
Right.
imagine if you've stored anything with us, this could be anything in here. But when a user gets phished, they're directed immediately to a learning moment. And this learning moment is a handheld tour of this platform, of this email that we sent to them that has the vulnerability we placed in it for them specifically. So in this test case, take these test links with a grain of salt, but it's, hey, did you hover over this link before you clicked it? It doesn't go to zoom.us. You should have noticed that. Okay, next thing. Make sure you look for cancel and unsubscribe links. Even the links at the bottom and the very end of emails can be malicious. Don't just click them. Okay, now I'm done. In other emails, it might be, did you look at the reply to before you ended up clicking on this? You should have noticed that this isn't the person that you think sent you the email. Did you hover over the attachment before you downloaded it? Be aware, PDFs can have macros, and this actually wasn't even a PDF. It was a .exe. You should have noticed that. Things like that.
When they interact with the interactivity, then that completes the learning moment.
Yep. So I would have completed this learning moment by clicking that last step and clicking done.
Okay.
And we keep track of, did they get to this page and exit out? Did they get to this page and finish the learning moment in 4 seconds? Did they get to this page and only get through half of them?
Wow. So you have some good data points for their experience.
Yes. And then this was one of the things I was alluding to earlier. We got dark mode.
Dark mode. Oh God. I hope you guys didn't spend any more than an afternoon on that feature.
It has been, we have a public feature request board. It's also one of those things that MSPs really love about us. And dark mode immediately made its way onto that board.
Really?
Like, immediately made its way on.
God, the things that are important to people.
Don't
get me started.
So that's why we do phishing the way we do. That's why we attempt to phish people, because that experience is 30 seconds of context specific learning. It's not, hey, loser, get in the van. No, it's hey loser,
Or
you got to
like,
fish.
hey, HR is going to be
Yeah,
notified, and
no,
you're gonna get a talking to. No, it's pretty obvious. I was a part of a forum last week when people were talking about phishing campaigns, and what the expectations of the clients were, and what we should be setting for the expectations of the client. The client shouldn't be mad at us in
right,
any context of this platform. I In my opinion, I think the platform, and I think you and I even sparred on this a little bit last month.
probably,
In my opinion, I think the phishing should go out once a day,
right,
because I personally get phishing emails every single day, many times a day, and I think my staff do too. There is no spam filter that is impervious to it.
correct.
So once a day, or maybe once every 48 hours or 36 hours, once a month is, in my opinion, is just not enough data points. Once a week seems pretty light to me too. I don't know, where are you on that?
Where am I on that? So there's what I would like to occur, what I think is best, and then what the industry is going to tolerate right now.
Right.
Just because
Tolerance is
of
a good word, right?
just because of where people are in their own cybersecurity journeys, how educated the average user is on this. We recommend start every month. And you may think, wow, that's almost nothing. We have clients that are like, that's way too much. I'm like, listen,
Wow. So one fish attempt per month,
per month.
and that's where you guys go in on. That's where you
That's
lead in
what seems to be what a lot of companies
the
of the
tolerance, like
MSPs
you
will
said.
tolerate. And
Okay.
then what we do from there is we're like, hey, let's bump this up to twice a month. And twice a month, so every other week, that feels like the sweet spot for at least fishing. For training, depending upon what kind of training you're doing, it shouldn't be any more than every month. It also depends
Okay,
on
so right. I mean, there's two vehicles here, right? There's the
correct
fishing, and then the training. So you're fishing, you go in at once a month kind of default, but your platform will have what maximum frequency do you guys support?
every week.
Daily
Every
or
week.
every week? Okay, so you support no more frequently than weekly, and you're finding that every other week is tolerable, and then training, you're saying once a month training.
You can do a lot of different things. You can separate the two. So for training, you can do what we call an all at once campaign, which is picture this use case. You're at the end of the year, you missed some kind of compliance bucket, and you're like, I have a week to get everybody trained on these 5 topics.
Oh, wow.
We've had that happen. It's like, okay, well, yeah, we'll support that use case for you. And so you can send an entire training campaign, every module all at once the next day. You can also do weekly. You can also do monthly. You can also do quarterly. And you can also do every other week.
Right. So if I were to offer my unsolicited opinion, I would say quarterly is definitely not frequently enough.
Correct.
Monthly, I would say, is probably fair. I think we're looking at another platform that does weekly trainings. So your default is what, monthly training?
Monthly.
Month.
But at both default to monthly, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. It also depends upon the length of the training you do. Like if you spent an hour a week doing training, it's like, okay, this is
That's
overkill.
that's a lot. Well, that leads us into your training module. I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves. How long are your trainings?
I can get right into that in a bit if you want.
Well, your show. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm doing the thing that I'm trying not to do.
Before I move to training, I want to just call attention to this detail that is another MSP focused feature. One of the biggest pain points that we had early on from MSPs is like they're like, you know what? I have to create this campaign and then I have to go to a client and do the exact same thing. I got to go find the templates. I got to go send them all to myself because that's the what is it? Standard operating procedure we've had is that every fish before it goes out, we got to send it to ourselves. Okay. And they're like, now I got to do that for every single client. What if you could just select the fishes one time, send them to yourself one time, share that as a campaign across all of your clients?
So these are custom campaigns?
Yep. So these are campaigns. You remember how I mentioned earlier, you can select the fishes, you can change everything. And then I've saved them as what we call a shared preset. So everything with this orange flag at the bottom is a shared preset that I've created this campaign in another client and opted to share it with this one.
Got it.
So if I wanted to launch this initial client campaign, I don't have to recreate anything. I just have to rename it, reset the time and sending, review the information, and then just click launch. And now this campaign starts in 13 days. So that's how easy it could be if you had your own initial campaigns that you wanted to run. I don't know why, but if you did,
Right. For
you'd be
the nerds out there that want to build their own phishing
correct.
campaigns. No offense, nerds, but don't.
But yeah, talk to me. I think I can convince you otherwise.
Right. I know, me too. I'll join in on that call. Like, why are you building your own phishing campaigns? Like, leave it to the subject matter experts.
Yep. And then for the training. So you mentioned, okay, what kind of training do we do? We do, I don't like using the industry buzzword, but I'll use it here because people will recognize it. The micro learning concept. All of our videos, save for our additional compliance modules, think of PCI, HIPAA, GDPR, those have to be a little more in depth and also way more regulated. So it's not just a concept, it is a structured learning process there.
Right.
But all of our security awareness training modules, on clean desk policies, password management, recognizing insider threats, so on and so forth. Those are all at most a 5-minute video followed by 1, 2, or potentially 3 quiz questions.
Okay, so, and would you say you have a statutory max length of those videos, or do they vary between a couple minutes to 5 minutes?
They vary between 2 minutes and 5 minutes.
Okay, and then with an assessment, so video plus assessment.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then, so we created in our questionnaire at the beginning, the huge differentiator we have, a continuous training campaign. And this is that campaign right here. So this is EVERNET's continuous training campaign. I can reassign this to any group of users that I'd like. But then there's this list of concepts here. So the way this training is, it's not a selection of modules, it's a selection of topics. So I'll explain how this works. In month 1, users get a phishing module. Insert, it could be week 1, quarter 1, whatever. In month 2, device security, month 3, passwords, so on and so forth, all the way down to a HIPAA module. But at the end of the HIPAA module, we don't end the campaign. We wrap back around to phishing, and we deliver users a phishing module that they have not seen already.
Right.
So they get training on the same topics, but they always get different training. And the reason we're able to do that is because we don't create the training on our own. We purchase it from many different vendors. So we have access to over 200 modules, and your clients.
So I find that fascinating. And for the viewers out there, I love this about you. You actually view that as a positive.
Yeah.
And I do also, by the way, where I've demoed a ton of these products, and will have demoed some of the other products, and the in-house content creation is for a lot of these your contemporaries. That is their differentiator.
Right.
But you're saying what? You're saying
I don't think the content is the differentiator. I think it's all specifically for the MSP. It's all about the orchestration and the organization and automating almost all of that, which I've been talking the entire time, but we've been this client's been set up since I answered that questionnaire.
I agree with you completely too. So this, again, being a fanboy, like the paradigm, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
I mean, how many different ways do you have to say, like, enable MFA and have a secure password? I mean,
right.
Like it's been said, it's been done, whether, in my opinion, but.
Correct. And then from there, one thing to notice as well, this has a smart enrollment feature. So again, it's one of those things. Hey, it's an MSP. This works exactly how you'd expect it to. It's like, let's say you're targeting this to a specific department, and then we get a new user through the user sync that's in that department. What do you think's going to happen? Okay, well, this campaign on the next batch that goes out, so maybe it's the third one right here, we're going to detect that user needs to be in this training. We're going to give them the phishing, device security, and the password module, and we're going to enroll them in this campaign moving forward. So everyone's going to be at the same training track.
Right, and that's the uniformity that I on my marketing message, and we're saying that the power of these platforms is the uniformity across the organization.
Yep.
So I'm going to say we're at probably a 10-minute mark, or 10 minutes remaining, give or take.
So I will hit a couple of key points then. First is, one of the most important things from the MSP to increase not only the adoption of training, but also more importantly, reduce the support requests you're going to get. Communication. So we go out of our way at Phin to help you do this communication. So much so that in future versions of our platform, you won't be able to opt out of sending welcome emails. Now,
I was going to ask about that. What's the user experience from the onset?
So this is one of the examples. And keep in mind, everywhere you see the Phin logo, you can put your own. There is no communication that needs to have Phin's logo inherently.
Right.
All the user would have to do is click login to get started. They're dropped right at their learning management system. Now, me personally, I'm enrolled in 62 modules because I'm on every test account that has ever existed.
Right.
But a user would have their training. Let me scroll to a Ninja module because right here, user would read it. Okay, good. So they'd have one, maybe two modules. If they have one module, it loads directly into their platform. So they start their training right away. We call it shortest possible path to learning. This is going to bleed my ears real quick.
Oh,
And in this
okay.
case, the Ninja module plays, and then there's a set of questions after the end attached to the module.
Okay, and the questions are only available after the video has played?
Correct.
I mean, I know that sounds silly for me to point that out, but I've seen other products that the questions are available. The video is not a forced
Right.
experience.
And then this is an example of downloading a course certificate. So if users want to verify that they've completed on their own or need to send it to their HR manager, they can do so. And they can also reread any policy. So I just assigned myself a certificate of completion, but this could be any policy. You'd have to scroll to the bottom, acknowledge, and then the screen would pop up and said, do you attest that you read and understand that you have read and you understand what you are just acknowledging now?
Got it.
And then if I want to focus on a few more things, so on the integrations tab, we have also created an integration with the Microsoft Graph API that allows you to drop content right in a user's inbox. Most important piece for the MSP, you never have to manage whitelisting traffic again. You enable it. So when you consent here, you'll be confronted with the user sync and the spam filter bypass. You don't have to enable any. You can enable both of them or one of them. But when you enable that spam filter bypass, you'll never have to whitelist traffic again, ever.
Nice.
From there,
What about integrations with PSA?
Coming, not
Okay.
currently, but
Okay.
definitely on the roadmap. Given our MSP focus, that is one of the biggest areas of concern. Of development they'd like to see out of us.
Right.
And one thing we just added: stakeholder reports. So if I tab this on, add myself. So keep in mind, this doesn't have to be a user and it doesn't have to be an admin. I can add a list of stakeholders, and every first of the month, or in this case, every Monday, if you do weekly, we will send a report that has 3 important pieces of information. What are the active training and phishing campaigns? And then the completion statistics for both of them. Then we'll have a table of users that says, hey, here are the people that need support. Here are the people that are not completing training and the people that are getting phished. So you go talk to them. And then we'll also have the high performers.
So you would say that those are so this is a global setting for the MSP?
This is a setting per tenant.
Oh, that's per tenant. So we could put, so like, for example, we could, if we were going to deploy this in our MSP, we would go to the tenant. We could put our Autotask ticketing email there, and that would send an email from that tenant with that content, that report into us to create a ticket, which is we would treat as like a managerial item for that client.
Yep. This sends an email with information about the client and an attached PDF that is the report that's generated.
That's awesome. That is because the MSP does, I mean, the MSP is the manager of the platform. So we need managerial action items.
Yep.
And that's great. And we since we work out of tickets, that's what when did you roll that out?
Last week.
I love it. I love it so much. That's awesome.
That's how quick. Every 2 weeks we release software updates.
And are you well, anyways, keep going.
That's pretty much it. So if you want to revisit what we've done, I talk a lot. And if I didn't need to explain everything that went on in the first 10 minutes, I set up my user sync potentially, which is just consenting to the authorization. I set up training and phishing by going through that questionnaire. Whitelisting is as easy as enabling another connection with Graph API, or you can do traditional whitelisting. And then in almost all cases, this is already personalized by adding the MSP's logo at the partner level.
Okay.
And I'm done.
So content, check. Phishing training, check. Rapid onboarding, check. You're not hostile to the MSP. So one of the things I do go through, I kind of don't want to take us out of the demo, but let me just touch on this. The buying experience, right? So, in my personal experience as an MSP leader, buying software as a service to resell can either be a really pleasant experience or it can just be a really hostile experience. So many of our vendors, minimum monthly buys, which means, we can buy 10 seats and grow our sales. But if we drop a client, and a lot of these vendors expect us to just hold the bag, so they don't scale with us. Where are you on that experience?
I would say we're probably the most friendly to MSPs when it comes to the buying experience. So you mentioned a minimum license count, but let me clarify that. It's not a minimum license count per tenant. A lot of our competitors will lock themselves out of working with MSPs because they say, well, we won't sell to a 5-person client. If we create an additional tenant for you to manage, has to be a 50 license minimum. That doesn't work for 99% of businesses in America because they're small businesses. So what we did is we just said, okay, as the MSP, we're going to invest a lot. As Phin, we're going to invest a lot in this relationship. So we're going to have a minimum purchase of 125 aggregate licenses. I have met very few MSPs that don't have 125 mailboxes that end up having an employee that they need training and phishing to, at least. And then it's a month-to-month contract. I guarantee I won't raise the price for a year. If you want to cancel, all I need is a 60-day notice. Really, we'd let you out way earlier if you wanted to, but a 60-day notice, and we will actively transition you to the other platform that you're doing this with if you wanted to transition away from us.
Okay, so to be perfectly candid, there is a minimum buy, but you're saying it's 125 seats, which you're saying is very reasonable.
Yeah, I have met very few MSPs that do not manage at least 125 employees worth of clients.
And do you have varying price points, or is it your pricing is transparent? What's the fee for that 125 minimum?
It's a $250 a month minimum, and then every 500 seats in aggregate usage for the MSP, there's a price break on the next 500 seats. So a lot of our MSPs, if you're around 1,500, 2,000 total seats deployed on our platform, and again, it's not people you've loaded into our platform. It's not user syncs you've enabled. It's did they get phished, trained, or notified last month? That's the only thing that counts as an active user.
Okay.
Rated about 1,500 to 2,000 seats. The MSP is paying on average $1.50 a seat, which is right in a sweet spot in my mind for this industry for companies that can provide a lot of value, and also you're not breaking the bank.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being marketable and knowing what your value is. So that's I understand that. And is your pricing available on the website?
It is not. So this is maybe where we could have a little bit of a discussion. A lot of MSPs would prefer our pricing not be on the website because their client is going to go look and say, oh, I'm getting charged, I don't know, 50%, 100%, 120% more. It's like, what gives? I'm just going to go direct. Two things there. They can't go direct if they wanted to. My first question, whenever anyone reaches out that I go to their website, they're not clearly an MSP. Great, who's your MSP? And the only answer I'll accept is, oh, we don't have one. And then my next question is, would you like to work with one? And then I'll just go try to filter them off to a friend of ours or to an MSP that we work with on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I don't know. I mean, the software just to inject in more opinion, the software landscape now, especially when we're talking web software, right? Our MSP is 100% web driven business now. Microsoft Office 365 is a perfect example. A customer can always buy direct Office 365. I think Microsoft gives us whatever our margin is, 10%, some ridiculously small percentage. But the value add that we bring to our clients is the managerial component and the value added piece to it. So I don't think, I just thinking of the several hundred clients that we have, pretty much none of them would shop this product on their own. So I get, and I don't know. I don't want to offer too many opinions, and I don't want to start a significant debate among the community. But in my experience, pricing online, self-provisioning, and self-setup. I mean, what's the experience now for the MSP in that context? Sign up and wait for you to call us, or
for us?
No, for us, the MSP. Like, do we go to Phin Security or finsec.io?
Correct.
And then, can we self-provision and get started without talking to a human, or what is the onboarding process like for us, the MSP?
If you go to finsec.io, I have a video demo there. So it's a lot like this. You'd have to schedule an onboarding with me if you wanted to try the platform, kick the tires, test drive it, whatever you want. We also, for MSP, for your staff, we have NFR licenses in perpetuity for MSP's staff. So you could always do that forever. We just recognize
The value bump for the minimum monthly.
Yeah, absolutely. And those licenses never count towards that minimum monthly. So it's like you could train. Now, I've had this happen. If I see 400 different domains in there with 300 different users, that doesn't make sense. But if I see clearly you're using that account we've provisioned, your NFR, we're going to have
Right.
a problem. But
Right.
we've created a platform where you can essentially send any email you want to anybody you put in our platform, which we recognize can be misused. So we would like to chat with the MSPs that come on board our platform before, no harm, no foul. We're not going to hold their feet to the fire in any way, shape, or form, but to verify you're not a random person that's going to get us in a lot of trouble for sure.
Interesting. You and I will have to talk offline on more on that.
Sure.
I've got a lot of strong feels about some of that stuff. I don't.
Okay.
But that's interesting. Okay. So you did your work handed about the buying experience. I'm just going through my list here to as we kind of walk this out. The value proposition was explained. The cost was candid. Oh, and then my favorite part, and this will be my last question. What's to come? What's the roadmap? Do you have a published roadmap? Do you have published roadmap? I always love to see that is truly managed and worked on from a vendor, so we know what's coming. Features are exciting. So you have, and one thing that you've told us kind of in passing, and I now have seen with my own eyes, you have a rapid development cycle, which is I think is just very exciting for a company to do.
Yeah, for better or for worse, to be determined. We are a team of completely software developers, minus we just made a non-developer hire. So I started as a developer. I don't get to do that anymore, but we have 5 software developers and 1 other person other than me.
Scrappy startup. Love it.
Yeah. Our goal is, well, if we build the best product and we tell people I started making friends in this community a year and a half ago. I wanted to make 1,000 friends. So my goal is, well, let me listen to all 1,000 of my friends and let me build as fast as humanly possible exactly what they tell me to. And that's been it. So what you're looking at here, actually, this is our public feature request board. This is the thing you just saw, that the stakeholder report. We built it. It was the most upvoted feature. 6 of our clients upvoted it.
That looks really familiar, Connor.
Yeah, I know. And then here is where all of our other features are. So if I scroll through, some of these we've actually already done. Read-only admin access. We could talk about that, but that's one that's definitely going to be done. This is one that's becoming live. Syncing on demand is being built right now. So those are some of the improvements we're making to the user sync.
Nice.
This, you want to talk about a development process. This is how we decide what gets built into the platform. Is an MSP comes to me, comes to here, or in our community, because we also have a community where all of our clients can talk to each other.
Yep.
And they say, hey, this is something that would really, really help us out. And then they make a post, they share it in our communities, they get people talking about it, they get others excited about it. Because I tell them the same. It's like, if you wanted something built, Eric, it's like, great. Go get a lot of our clients involved. It's like, it'll be the biggest thing we work on if we can get a lot of our clients involved in this.
Yeah, I mean, I always use the expression that this isn't the Bill Gates Microsoft anymore. I mean, good software now is built is user driven development, and so clearly that's what you're saying. We're building the products that people are asking for rather than spoon feeding a product that you think is fitting the square peg in the round hole, which that's admirable, and not in the same sense that it's like, well, how novel is it to just listen to people and build solutions that to their problems. So, but definitely a gold star. I mean, the rapid development is exciting. So that's awesome. I'm gonna try to drag us out of here because we're at 59 minutes right now.
Sure.
I know that we didn't get to every screen on the product, but you did you showed us the product, which I think has huge value to anybody considering a security training platform. I value your time. I'm going to ping you through marketing automation every month to ask you to come back, and
Okay.
hopefully you will. And as new features come out, you'll continue to join me here and talk about your product and share what you guys are working on. Do you have anything else you want to offer or add?
No, that's pretty much everything. I loved being here, and I would love to come back and when we have more updates to show you everything. I think we'll have a
Excellent.
lot of cool stuff coming out of the next couple of months.
Excellent. Where do you, well, I have your website up on the ticker right here, finsec.io.
Yep.
Do you want me to drive anybody to any other place?
Find me on LinkedIn, Connor Swalm. Find our company right there as well on LinkedIn. Follow the company, follow me. My main goal is to create a community of MSPs that, and then give you guys value. So that's what I do. All of my posts are either, I like laughing and I like security awareness. So my
Awesome.
my posts are in those two camps for sure.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to bring us out with a little disclaimer here. EVERNET is an independent business and IT services consulting company and does not offer any warranty or guarantee of the products or services discussed today. Any relationships formed by and between EVERNET and our clients are wholly separate from any formed with our guests and their respective companies or clients. Please leave any comments if you guys have any comments, questions, if I missed the mark, or if you want to just tease me in any way, feel free. And yes, if you have any products or services that you'd like to spotlight with me, we're always looking to sign up new and engaging guests and of products and services. Where I'm having a lot of fun with this, and hopefully, I am seeing some viewership on some of this stuff. And I know it's highly focused content, but if you have a product that you'd like to spotlight with me, I'd really enjoy that. Just go to evernet.tv and fill out the pod guest intake form. So that's it. I'm your host, Eric Buhrendorf of EVERNET Consulting, America's #1 IT SP and service provider. Thanks, Connor, very much.
Thanks, Eric.